Welcome to episode 8 of Secrets of the Universe, Walking the Conscious Path with Steve Hasenberg. I'm Greg Agnew. So this episode is entitled Awakening.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what do you mean by awakening?
Okay. So awakening is a term that's used in many spiritual traditions, in a lot of the ancient traditions. And it means awakening out of our sleep. Not the sleep that you do in a bed, but the sleep that the ego takes you into. The sleep of material existence, the sleep of earth existence. And awakening has so much to do with waking up into the sense that I'm bigger than this. I'm bigger than my body. I'm even bigger than my mind because I left my mind in my first out-of-body experience and I became a free-roaming spirit. I have this potential within me, and awakening is learning how to walk a conscious path, Secrets of the Universe, walking a conscious path, and using that conscious path to awaken yourself into a larger version of yourself.
Are there techniques? I know we've talked about meditation. Is that one of the techniques to help you awaken?
Meditation, I taught transcendental meditation for about 15 years all around the United States. And if you take the word transcendental meditation, you can separate it into transcendental. It means the end of the trance. Transcendental is the end of the trance. What's the end of the trance? The end of the trance is the end of the sleep of the ego that has been embedded in material life, where it awakens out of material life in a ritual, which we talked about in the last video, in the ritual of the sun, this beautiful, beautiful sun dance, where the Native Americans dance for 24, even 48 hours. And during this dance, they do not drink water, they do not rest, they do not sleep, they do not eat, and some of them pierce themselves. Why do they do that? They do that to end the trance. They do that to awaken to a bigger universe. They do that to give birth to a larger iteration of themselves. And that is part of their remembrance. So all sacred rituals that we talked about, I'm so glad it always comes back, it weaves back in, is an attempt to remember who they are before they took birth. Not to leave the world, to enjoy the world more, to know that the world has purpose, to know that the world is a sacred, holy place that they live in. And in so doing, there's an extraordinary honoring of the place that they live that we have withdrawn from. The honoring of the sacredness here, the trees, the mountains, in terms of the people who are working in ecology are honoring these things.
Right.
The reason that we have such difficulty with the weather system, with global warming, what the Native Americans said about this last year, and I read a beautiful article about it from a Sioux medicine man, was that the sacred sites were being corrupted. Standing Rock was a sacred site. So everything I've said now in video 7 and video 8 gives the people listening the sense that this was a sacred site. It's a place where they did ritual. It's a place where they remembered who they were. It's a place where they remembered the ancestors. And they had a prophecy. And the prophecy was that a black snake would come. And that black snake would poison their water. And for the Sioux, and I think for the Native Americans, water is the first medicine. Water is the great healer. So you can understand why they encamp there for so long.
Right. And the great snake is the pipeline?
It is. The black snake. Could it be any better metaphor than that?
Perfect, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the earth is out of balance because the great sites, the sacred sites of earth, have been corrupted. That's how they look at it. We're out of balance because if I continue with the idea of the ego, and I was talking about the hunger of the ego, because the ego has been cut off from its source, it's hungry in order to satisfy itself, to feel real, to feel important in this vast space that we live in. And so as the ego continues in this culture, and this isn't true for everybody, some people find their passions, but a lot of people compensate by accumulating, by building the largest house on the block, by having the fanciest car, by having the greatest notoriety, by being the best silver screen star, whatever it is. And again, I don't find anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But in terms of collective consciousness, it continues to dig the roots deeper into the material world. And the deeper the roots go, and the more we lose touch and consciousness with what we're talking about, where we've come from the sacred remembrance, the more frightened we feel, the more isolated, and the more dangerous the world becomes.
It seems like there's more of an awareness, mindfulness, meditation than there has been, at least in recent decades.
Right.
Do you see, on a big picture, do you see a turn away from the collection of possessions, and maybe we're kind of saving ourselves, at least partially?
We are. And again, there's nothing wrong with a possession.
Right.
As a matter of fact, the deeper you get and the more stillness you acquire, the more you appreciate possessions. You appreciate everything more. Not just nature, the people that you're with, the experiences that you have. That's waiting for each of us inside. So there's more research now into meditative experiences, into the beauty and effectiveness of mindfulness. And those research experiences and papers are going to help convince people that there's something missing. I taught TM for, I said, probably 15 years. Right. I still teach it in my office. But what we talked about in TM, we didn't talk about remembering your ancestors or the vastness of the inner space. We talked about how you're going to have more energy, how you're going to be more effective in your life, how you're going to have more love, your heart's going to open more, and this is going to be automatic. So the meditative techniques allow you to go inside and begin to experience these inherent qualities that we all have and to pull them out. It's like going into a well, dipping your ladle into the well and pulling the water out. The water inside of us is infinite. This is something that we're beginning to remember here with the show. We have an infinite reservoir, an infinite source of joy and happiness and interconnectedness and peace.
What do we have in episode number 9?
Episode number 9, and I think probably 9 and 10, maybe even 11, is going to be called the Earth School Curriculum. When I was reading about the near-death experiences, somebody mentioned the fact that the Earth was a school. In fact, many, many thousands of people use the same phrase. And I started aligning my life with the fact that the Earth was a school for the soul. And that was my remembrance, okay? We've talked about remembrance today. That was my remembrance of knowing that I was part of a much grander scheme a divine orchestration. And I wanted to live my life in accord with that. And so that's what the next series is going to be about.
Great. So thank you for watching episode 8 of Secrets of the Universe, Walking the Conscious Path. If you want to send an email question to Steve and perhaps have it answered in these videos, the email address will be at the end of the video, and you can also find it at stevehasenberg.com.